YouTube Ranked has been introduced, and it is kind of up and down for me. As you can see, we're at Ultra Bowl 1. We're at 755 points. Season records, we look overall. We are at about a 57% win rate, which is kind of standard because Pocket does have a lot more RNG than some other games, I feel. But there is definitely a nice skill level in this game, but there is definitely a lot of RNG as far as coin flips and whatnot, and bad hands, etc., etc. So with that being said, we're going to talk about the flaws. Now, first flaw that I want to go over is that it is hella grindy. Okay, now, what do I mean by grindy? I want you to go back to the season records, and I want you to look that we're already at 80 wins. Now, let's compare this to some of the other card game rank systems that are out there. Let's take a look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, let's take a look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and let's take a look at something like Hearthstone. Hearthstone goes all the way up to Legend. There's a lot of grinding there. But Hearthstone is a completely different game, and the fact that I think it's like there's a lot more diversity, I feel, in Hearthstone. I could be wrong. I'm not the biggest Hearthstone expert, but I think Hearthstone has a much bigger card pool to it, so I think it kind of evens itself out a bit more. That you don't see exactly the same decks over and over again, which I will get to in a minute. But second, the problem is in Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean in Pokemon, not Yu-Gi-Oh! Not yet. In Pokemon, you have the issue of coin flips and RNG more, and a limited card pool. So because of that, which I'll go into more depth in a second, the limited card pool and RNG kind of make the grinding a little bit worse. And yeah, so that becomes a bit more of an issue. Now, I think Master Duel to me is one of my favorite rank systems overall. But Duel Links has a rank system basically where you start from Rookie and you get to the rank King of Games. Now, if any of you have watched the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, you know Yu-Gi-Moto is essentially the King of Games. So that's where the whole King of Games thing comes from. Okay, so once you get to King of Games, you generally hit there in about anywhere from about 40 to 120 wins. You could hit it with a little bit less, sometimes more. But that to me is like a comfortable area of grinding. Now, the problem with Duel Links is once you get to King of Games, you do nothing. Unlike Pokemon TCG Live and Pokemon Pocket, where in Pokemon TCG Live, you hit Arceus lead, you can grind up the leaderboard. Or in Pokemon TCG Pocket, if you hit Master Ball rank, you can grind up the leaderboard. There is no leaderboard in Duel Links, which causes a lot of people to get frustrated and they get stuck, and then they can't do. They basically play a lot of bots and random decks in King of Games, which basically does nothing. But for something like Pocket, you can grind up the ladder, and Master Duel has that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel has that aspect where you can go into rated as well, but it's a lot less grindy, I feel, overall. And yeah, I think that definitely helps. But you don't have like win streak bonuses in Master Duel, but it's a lot less grindy. And yeah, it definitely allows you to get up that ladder a lot quicker. Now, I know some people are going to argue, but Sean, if you get up that ladder too quick, then everybody's going to get in the Master Ball rank, and it's going to get flooded, and nobody will be able to differentiate in skill. But that's why you have a leaderboard. That's why you have the leaderboard. People can grind as hard as they want. They can play as much as they want to. They're not time consumed, and the casual players can get to their Master Ball rank, and then dipsy-do back into the other pool to play their casual decks and to test different things. Or rock it out in Master Ball, play some games where they don't have to rank down with any intent, and not have any fear, and then they will play whatever deck they want. Which kind of leads me into my second big issue in Pocket. Ranking down in Ultra Ball. I don't think from Ultra Ball 1 you should rank down. Now, the reason why is because we're going to take a look at the rewards. This is where I feel a problem comes into play. Look at Ultra Ball 1. If you hit Ultra Ball 1, you get 75 hourglasses. If you hit Master Ball, you get 95. Now, where is the problem with this? Now, you do get icons. This to me, now if you've heard of the Casey Cup, this was an old problem with the Casey Cup in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like a Stage 2. This is kind of like a little bit of a Stage 2 thing, but Stage 2 gave you better rewards. You didn't get like hourglasses. I mean, Stage 2 gave you worse rewards, not better. Stage 2 gave you worse rewards, not hourglasses. You get gold, which didn't do anything at the links. It's not like Pocket doesn't do anything. But the problem that I'm trying to get to here is that the difference between Master Ball and Ultra Ball 1 hourglass wide is minimalistic. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? What am I trying to get to here? What I'm going to say, okay, sure, so what's the point? The point is, people will get to Ultra Ball in fear of ranked out and stop playing, knowing that they have a casual option, which is why you see so many Ultra Ball players in the casual pool. They go, I don't want to rank down. I got to a place where I'm comfortable, and I'm going to play my casual decks. So you get people to stop playing, and I know people have argued in the past. I've seen a lot of videos of Yu-Gi-Oh! Y saying, yeah, but you should have a demotion system. People should demote down for being bad. No, I don't think so. I think once you hit, not saying from like 2, 3, or 4 you shouldn't demote, but from Ultra Ball 1, once you get to the 1 of a stage, if you're not going to demote people in Master Ball, and you're not going to demote people in Great Ball, don't demote them out of Ultra Ball. Because you want to keep people playing the game. If you get them to a point where the rewards aren't as high, and they don't feel there's a reason to keep playing other for some like casual icon, and to waste their life away, then you're going to have people stop playing ranked mode, and you're not going to promote the increase of ranked players. And the other reason for this is because the grind from Ultra Ball to Master Ball is essentially the halfway point, which it shouldn't be. I'm not Great Ball. I mean, Ultra Ball to Master Ball is essentially the halfway point, which it shouldn't be, but it is. So the problem is, if the reward point doesn't match the grinding, and you're going to rank down at an Ultra Ball, then what's going to happen is the grindy players are just going to play the same decks over and over again, which I'll get to in a second, and the people who don't want to grind are just going to jump into casual games, know that the rewards aren't really worth it, because think about it, what is 20 extra hourglasses? 1.5 Pokemon packs? Which is okay, but you're getting free packs anyway, so are you really going to kill yourself mentally over one game with all the coin flips over one pack? I don't think you will. That's kind of the problem here. Okay, kids? So unless you want to be the very best like nobody ever was and face the best decks over and over again, you gotta tame it down a bit as far as the grinding is concerned, and I don't think people should take down from Ultra Ball. If you don't have people derank from Ultra Ball, people will bring creative decks in the rank, because they're not going to have to fear, oh, if I derank, then I have to go all the way back down the Great Ball, go all the way back up, when they could just play it in casual, which there will be a lot of players in, because Pokemon has a lot of player pool, so they don't have to worry about sacrificing time in ranked and not having a match on the ladder to play the decks that they want to play, because they can play it there, get a feel for their deck, and then go into the tournament scene with it. So that to me is a problem, because they'll go up and say, oh, my deck can't beat the mana, I'm out of here, I'm not going to play this, I don't want to play Clodsire because Clodsire will lose to Arceus, I don't want to play Pikachu because it can't stand up to the meta decks. And that to me is a big problem. Now, I'm going on to issue number 3. Is the win streak bonus. Why do you have it die in Ultra Ball? Like, this is the most grindiest part. You have the win streak bonus die, so that means that you get plus 10 for a win, minus 7 for a loss, which is a big problem in my opinion. Because if you have that, then it's like, well, if we lose 1, we go minus 7. If we go 1, we go plus 10. Now, Duel Links, like I said, I'm going to go back to Duel Links, has something like a KC Cup format, which is pretty much the same concept. You go minus 1,000, plus 1,000. Sometimes you go plus 1,200, minus 1,000, depending on the skill level of player you face. In the KC Cup, you can face people from all over the ladder, which is why you will drop more that you're facing. So sometimes Ultra Ball, you're facing less people there. But that's not the point. The point is that is meant to be ranked, and KC Cup should not be the same thing. Ranked in a competitive Worlds event should not be the same category. You can have an event like this for a KC Cup, but not for ranked general play. I think for ranked general play, it should be easier to hit max goal. Because this is still, ranked is not meant to be hardcore competitive until you get to that Master Ball rank. If you're casually going up the rank ladder, then you want to see the creative decks come into play. But if everybody plays the same 2 decks and you saw new creativity, it's going to be depressing. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the win streak bonus. Without a win streak bonus, and without the demotion that I talked about, with the demotion I talked about, what are people going to do? Well, they're going to play the only deck that knows to win consistently. And what are those decks? Well, I see his face. And it's getting to the point where it's really annoying. You either see this or you get Articuno Misty. And, you know, the problem is, when you have a situation like this, is people are going to get bored of ranked really quick. Because you're going to be, it's quite not a tier 0 meta, because there are 2 decks that are dominant. You're going to get into a meta where there are 3 tier 1 decks. Now, the difference between something like this, Hearthstone and Yu-Gi-Oh! And you may say, yeah, but every card game has a meta, Sean. And you would be right. Except that there is limited card pool in Pocket. Pocket isn't as developed as some of the card games. Pokemon TCG has more cards in it. So, Live can get around that point. Yu-Gi-Oh! Can get around that point. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a lot more cards in it. Pokemon has Genetic Apex, Mythical Island, Space-Time Transcendence, Triumphant Light, and Shining Revelry. 5 sets. Okay? So, the diversity of decks that go around and the space you have to counter other decks gets drastically limited. And so you see about a collection of only 4 to 5 decks, because nobody wants to bring out the spicy decks. That's not going to happen because people are afraid to lose. So instead of seeing maybe the spicy Alakazam decks, or the spicy, you may not have a spicy deck, maybe the Goldangle decks that want to come out, maybe Pikachu, maybe somebody wants to tie a Clodsire, they're not going to do it. Because they're going to go, why don't they want to play my Clodsire EX? Well, because I don't want to lose to Arceus, right? What does Clodsire lose to? Well, it loses to Arceus because of Fable Luster. But if everybody in Mama's uncle is playing Arceus, they're not going to play it. Because your win rate, it's too grindy. You're not going to get as much wins. Your win rate will sit around 48, 47% because you'll keep losing to Arceus all the time. So that becomes a problem. Or 52%, which again, 52% results in a lot more of grinding, right? Because if you go up 10 but lose 7, you're really only gaining 3 most of the time. That's why you'll see a lot of people go win, loss, win, loss, win, 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 loss, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. And you say, oh, they're not really gaining much in ranked. Well, that's because, again, there's no win streak bonus. And there is the increasing wins between win-loss is not substantial. Now, you may say, yeah, but in Duel Links, Sean, the KC Cup has the same thing and people climb. That's because Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't rely on, I should say doesn't rely on coin flips. Coin flip is whoever goes first or second. But Duel Links has gotten down. Duel Links is not like Master Duel. I feel like it's to the point where the coin flip is ultra detrimental. People can win the game going second. There are decks that can do that. And because you have that ability to do that, it leads to an increased win rate, I feel, and not have to be this grindy setting, unless you want it to be this grindy setting. Now, is that me saying Pocket is bad? No, it's an excellent game. It's amazing, in fact. The rank system needs to be slightly improved. And this leads me into my 4th and final point. That Pokemon Pocket should adopt a ban list. And cards that can go, the other way to go is to adopt a ban list. And one card that can go is, we're staring right at it. It is the Druddigon. This card is not played in the Dragon deck. No. Maybe in a casual environment, people will play this with something cool. just to wall up and play fire and water energy to get this thing to attack. But no, people are playing this as a wall. You go turn 1, everyone knows it. You throw down your Druddigon, you put your Giratina and Darkrai on the bench, and then, or turn 2, stack your energy on Darkrai, Space Bellow, Broken Space Bellow your Giratina, and keep stalling until your opponent cannot do anything anymore. Giratina was such a big boost to the deck because before Giratina, they had to run other things like Weavile. Without Weavile, they really didn't have another really good consistent attacker. They did run Greninja and sometimes like Crobat before this. Well, that's more Arceus running Crobat, not really that, but yeah, well, no, they did. There was some Darkrai Crobat builds. But Giratina was such a boost because Giratina gave them a really good second attacker because it's like essentially building up energy to attack with Darkrai, except you don't need to put energy on it. And it leads to insanely powerful Darkrai plays that makes Druddigon that much more dangerous because Darkrai by itself couldn't threaten massive damage, but now with Giratina in play, you could essentially hit them with a 170 push with red in the game. So how would you get to that point? Well, it's easy. You bring out your Giratina, you put an energy on Darkrai, and you deal the 20. The Giratina will hit for 130, and with a red, you are hitting for 170 damage, which will pretty much one-shot 90% of the meta, unless we're talking about like a 180 Charizard. So, with that regard, it makes Darkrai so much more powerful, and that even gets worse when you have Rocky Helmets come into play, and then they start attacking into you, and etc, etc. So what have people been doing to beat this monstrosity, you might say? Well, that's where the Galators come in. That's where people are playing Meowscarada with, like, Butterfree, or a deck like, even like, you can get creative and run something like, Bidoof X, oh god, whatever it is called, and then run something like your Healing Song, you know, with that, your Jigglypuff, with your Healing Song, and then try to counter-right Darkrai's better in that way, and just constantly heal up. But it's been to the point where everybody's kind of gotten the idea, this is the best deck, and this is what you want to play. The other deck that has kind of gone around that is really frustrating people, even more than Arceus, because Arceus, yes, it can be frustrating, but it has not been as frustrating to people as much as this. Now, play Palkia, play Articuno, it's the same that it is. It is what it is. It's Palkia. Now, are people annoyed because of Palkia? No. People are annoyed because of this girl here. Okay, this little girl, this little bitch. I will say it for what it is. Okay? Misty. So basically, if you don't know what Misty does and you've been under a rock all these years, you basically activate this card and you flip until you see a Tails, and then you put as much energy on your water Pokemon as you do heads. So this leads to, even if you get 1 heads, you are now ahead of your opponent. So if you were 1 second and you have a Misty, you are now drastically ahead. If they roll 2 heads on Misty, you can pretty much get really screwed early on. So if they go second, you lead your basic, and your basic, say, is a Sprigatito, or maybe you led an Eevee, or maybe you've led something just totally weak, and you need to get your setup going for like your stage 2s or Riolu, and they roll 3 heads, well, it looks like you probably just lost the game. And it makes it really frustrating to play around because you have to think of these weird scenarios to play around Misty, which none of them are really good because you end up probably putting yourself in a losing position by doing so. So yes, this card really frustrates the hell out of ranked players. And it's different when you have it in a casual retrospect because you're only going to see it, you know, for the people who are really trying hard. But for the people who aren't trying hard, yeah. This card is just a menace to see with the grinding that is in the rank ladder, because it is prey at this point. But yeah, okay. So that is my ranked ladder review. I definitely think improvements need to be made. I think it needs to be a lot less grindy. Like, it should not take you 300 wins because people are not gonna. It's nice now because people are gonna play it because it's new. But I will give it about 3-4 weeks of Giratina Darkrai or a month or two, and people are gonna be posting videos and say, "I'm tired of this nonsense." Everywhere I go, I see his face. And yeah, if you like this video, found it informative, spread the word so we can improve ranked. And yeah, until next time, like, comment, sub. It's your boy Shoma Tribe. Signing out. Bye, YouTube.